Clerk, we're ready to roll.
There are 9 items before the committee today.
Okay.
Item number 1 is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Dr. Marcia Hirano Nakanishi to the Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families.
We're very fortunate to have you here. Marcia, tell us your passion.
Hi, my name is Marcia Hirano Nakanishi. I've been a resident of Los Angeles all my life, lived in El Sereno almost all my life. Went to Wilson High School, went to college in California, went to Moore College on the East Coast, came right back to El Sereno.
You love the city and you love children, youth, and their families.
Almost everything I've done in my life has to do with
Been
children.
directed. Well, you're a great appointment. I'm going to recommend you for approval. You'll come to the full council when?
On Wednesday, June 11th.
June 11th. Good. And then maybe give us a minute or two of your passion on how you're going to improve this commission.
Absolutely.
Doctor, thank you very much. So ordered.
Thank you.
Item number 2.
Item number 2 is a motion, Smith-Labange,
Thank you, Doctor.
relative to expanding the permissible uses of the council civic funds portion of the cultural affairs budget.
Before we do that, Doctor, thank you very much for your service to Los Angeles.
Thank you.
We'll take it. 2 coming up. Is someone going to speak to it? I got that.
Good afternoon, Saul Romo for the Department of Cultural Affairs. What we have here is a motion to expand the allowable uses for the Council Civic Fund. At the moment, your Council Civic Fund guidelines preclude expending the funds on materials, equipment rentals, supplies, and catering. And at this point,
So let's say there's a cultural event in, hey, Mike, you're going to stay here for a bit? Got it, okay, good. If let's say there's a little item that's happening that's culturally, we could use it to support the Cultural Affairs Department.
correct. And I think in this instance, if we were to tailor the Civic Fund guidelines pursuant to the motion, I think it'd be very prudent that we narrowly define what kind of, for instance, equipment rentals and catering services would be an allowable use so that they're directly tied to whatever artistic event or whatever artistic venture is being sponsored, rather than have simply an open-ended opportunity for people to do catering services or party planning.
Very good. Get a little report ready. You're going to Budget and Finance, hopefully for approval. Move this forward.
Okay, we can do so.
Item 3 is consent.
And the disposition is receive and file.
Very well. Item 4.
Item 4 is a report from the City Administrative Officer relative to a contract amendment with the Planning Center regarding environmental consultant services.
Good afternoon, Delilah Pucha, CAO. The proposed agreement between the Department of Recreation and Parks and the Planning Center is for environmental consulting services. This would extend the term of the contract by 3 years, from 9 years to 12 years, and increase the maximum allowable compensation by $300,000 from $600,000 to $900,000. This contract was originally selected through the RFP process. This office recommends that the department complete another RFP process for as-needed environment consulting services and select one or more qualified contracts prior to the expiration of the proposed term due to the extended 12-year extension duration of this contract.
So basically, you don't want me to approve this, or do you?
Yes, I do, but before
Approve it.
before it expires, we just recommended that department go out for another RFP process.
The department accept that suggestion.
They are aware of it. Yes, we have recommended it.
All right, good. Move forward and approve. Thank you, Madam CAO. Next item.
Item number 5 is also a report from the City Administrative Officer relative to a amendment to a concession agreement with Butterfield Games for the Sherman Oaks Castle Park.
Good afternoon, Councilmember. Veronica Salumbiras with the Office of the CAO. The item before you is an amendment to concession agreement with Butterfield Games. It's regarding the arcade concession at the Sherman Oaks Castle Park. Under the terms of the concession agreement, the concessionaire pays the city 42.5% of gross receipts from the operation of the arcade. A portion of the gross receipts is generated from group and party package promotions. The department reports that additional time is required to reconcile receipts from the group and party due date each month of approximately 2 weeks from the 15th to the 30th of each month. There is no change to the percentage of the monthly rental due to the city, therefore there is no fiscal impact. The city financial policies are not applicable, and the CAO recommends approval.
Very good. Question. They've had this before? This same company's had this before?
They've had the company since, I believe, about a year ago. Is that correct?
About a year ago, they were awarded a 10-year contract, June
And
8,
how much have they
2007.
paid the city in the first year, do we know?
For the first 3 months of this year,
Right.
they've averaged $1,100 a month, just on party packages.
Right.
But
So what do you think, what does this concession bring in? I looked, does it bring in the wages of a,
in terms of gross revenue from last year, they've brought in $1,300,000.
Right.
And the gross rent to the city was $640,000.
so the city received 640,000?
Yes.
Yeah, it's about 42.5% of
Which
what
is
they
a
make.
significant contribution for, and does that money go to the recreational parks or the general fund?
It goes to the Recreation Parks Department.
And they're able to use that to expand their services or meet their needs?
That is correct.
Right, good, good job, thank you. Recommend approval. Next item,
Item number 6 is a motion, Han Labange, relative to recommendations regarding parking lots in the harbor area.
see, there's a deputy for the councilwoman of the 15th District, Janice Hahn here.
Eric Moody with the Office of Councilwoman Janice Hahn.
Yes.
This matter has been taken care of with the Office of Public Safety. We asked them to close a couple of different parking lots next door to other parking lots they were already closing, and they required us to do this motion for some reason. But we've worked it out, and everything's great.
Mark, you look pretty in pink, good to see you.
Thank you. Mark Mariscal, Recreation and Parks, and we have worked it out with GSD and Rec and Parks, so
Good, so it's all solved.
it's all
Yes,
solved.
sir.
The community's happy,
Yes, sir.
Community's
the
happy.
departments are happy,
Department's always happy,
and most importantly, Janice Hahn's happy.
of course.
Good, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
so ordered. Receive and file? Sir. Yes. Okay, thank you. Hey, Mark, stick around for a minute. Next.
Item number 7 is a motion, Grul Labange, relative to standardized procedures for facilities construction to decrease the time involved for constructing these facilities.
Okay, hello.
Good afternoon, Councilman. Mike Shaw with Recreation and Parks Planning and Development. This has been a very important issue for us in the department. As we seem to be gathering a lot of projects, we're trying to implement new ways of getting projects delivered faster and more efficiently and most importantly, cost effectively. So a couple of things we've done to date is we've already established a standard plan for synthetic soccer fields. And in fact, the first standard plan that's going out is going out to bid. I believe it's before our board for consideration at the next meeting, which is 2 weeks from today, will be a new synthetic soccer field in Councilmember Grul's district. That will be based off of a standard plan and is not, so essentially what we've done in Record Parks is reduce the amount of design time that's needed on these fields.
Mark
Secondly,
Brown approves it, city attorney approves it.
yes.
So I'll vote to approve it. I want to send it to Public Works. You want anything to contribute, Mark?
No, I am here, so since you mentioned my name, I came up, Mark Brown. As far as the department having standardized plans is concerned, yes, we're very much in favor of that.
Good, okay.
And then
We'll approve it, and we'll send it to Public Works, because they have to see it too as well. Right, Madam Clerk? Anyone want to speak to this?
To Public Works.
To Public Works.
Yeah, I think the item entails a little more than that.
Yeah, I
think
mean, if I could
Mr.
be indulged
Schultz
me
is
for
gonna
a
tell
couple
you
more minutes.
A little bit more.
There's-
You betcha.
On top of standard plans, we're trying to figure out ways to do design-build contracts. Design-build contracts as they pertain to specialty-type work within the park system. Those would be things like skate parks. We're looking at design-build contracts for actually solar-powered systems for the park system as well. So we have an RFP, or actually an RFQ, which is out right now for design-build firms for skate parks. And we're looking at it, reviewing those qualifications through the month of July, and which that'll eventually, I believe, come back to this committee as well.
Right, the advice the city attorney's office has given on that is they can pre-qualify the contractors, but they need to bid the individual projects, and that will hopefully save some time as well.
Great. And I think, and when you get to council, you may want to explain it a little bit more, so you know that this is more about an efficiency matter.
Right.
Thank you both very much. Item 8 is a consent. And I'm going to hold this, Dr. Clyde Williams. Thank you. Item 8 is consent. Dr. Clyde Williams filled out 3 cards, so we're going to run the clock every time you need an extra minute. We'll give it to you. We'll start at 2. Speak about all the items at once.
Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
Okay, basically on the CEQA consultant, item number 4.
Yes.
Sorry, my name is Dr. Clyde Thomas Williams, resident of El Sereno. On item number 4, the CEQA consultancy, if the past has any indication of what's going to go on, this morning's meeting for the board showed that the mitigated negative declaration was not appropriate, perhaps, and that you'll be redoing Runyon Canyon again.
But that's not before us here.
Yeah.
So,
This-
but you're using that as an
It's
example.
the approach. Okay, there's a CEQA document, the EIR for the Autry National. We submitted comments in October of last year. The final has not even been circulated yet. 6 months. And then one of the problems was that the neighborhood councils put in letters of comment that 30 days is not sufficient time to get inputs from the neighborhood councils. Similarly, the community impact statement, not submitted, none submitted on any of these. Why? Because it takes more than 30 days just to get it passed through. I'm in neighborhood council LA 32. And nobody can respond in that time. So having the neighborhood councils for the EIR is irrelevant almost. So, also for the community impact. So therefore, the question is, can you, like the DWP, have Parks and Rec develop a MOU so there's better coordination between the neighborhood councils so we can make...
You know what the challenge is sometimes in the park system, you have people who are park advocates.
Yep.
And then they are on the park advisory boards and work with the department, try to get things done.
Yep.
Sometimes in a neighborhood council, you have people have different vision.
And-
Integration is the key. So it's going to take a while. I like people who support what they want in their community. Sometimes there's not always that support. But I believe we will check with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment to see if there's any continuation of the efforts like Water and Power did about early notification. What you should do is focus constantly, in my opinion, on what you want for your neighborhood all the time. And these are published, all these items that had to do with anything with the Parks Department came before their commission, before they got here.
Well, I say we're doing the commission. We did the city council last week. We were told, come to the committee.
Right.
Now, so we're also looking at the fact that, okay, on item number 8, you're going to redirect resources from other parks to Griffith. I understand why. However, we just formed a PAB for Ascot Hills Park. And the problem is there won't be any resources because most of the resources are going to the Griffith.
Well, I don't think that's true. I think this motion was, during the time of the crisis, forces had to clear roads, fire trails, take down trees that were half burnt. That has all ceased. They're back to absolutely normal operations about, what would you say, Mike, at least 7-8 months ago?
Councilman, there was only a redirection of resources for approximately 3 days following the fire.
Right.
You know, there was no impact following, definitely no more than a week following the fire.
Bump in the road.
All right. There was a bump in the road as far as resources.
Okay.
All right, Clyde.
Okay. For the general plan, we actually support that. We would recommend that the Griffith Park general plan also include more unstructured open space because, might say, the buildings really don't serve the public as much as the picnic areas that are open to everybody.
Right. How about sports fields? How about sports fields?
Sports
baseball fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skateboard parks. I prefer that to Autry National Center, the museum there that wants to expand.
All right, you've been there? Have you been there lately?
Yeah.
The Autry? Okay.
Yeah, I've also tried to get there, but then it was taking over an hour to get into the intersection in front of the Autry because there's not enough road capacity to get there. It takes 40, sometimes on the
You think we
weekends to
should
get,
widen the roads? Widen the roads?
or more buses. You got to get people there, but.
How'd you get there? Which bus did you take?
I wouldn't take a bus because
Yeah.
I would avoid that by going to the next intersection and coming back on Zoo Drive.
It's a very popular location. It will be more popular because of the economy. People will come to our public parks, not just in Griffith, but throughout the Southland due to the economy cycle that we're in, especially this summer. Doctor, I thank you for your comments,
Yep.
and if you want to chat after the meeting, I'd like to make your acquaintance.
Well, this morning was the ANC lease agreement and the fact that the department and the board have not enforced the compliance of terms and conditions of a 20-year-old lease. Not even $1. The records show not even $1 a year has been paid by Autry. Plus, their audit reports have
Oh,
not
no,
been...
yeah, but you want to make that on general comment, you can't fill out another card. That wasn't on the agenda. If you want to talk to you afterwards, later.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. On number 8, consent item, correct, read it for the record.
Number 8 was a motion, Han Parks, relative to redirecting resources from park projects throughout the city to assist with additional workload due to the Griffith Park recovery effort.
Great, very good. We received that one. And number 9?
And number 9 is a motion, Labange Grassetti, relative to reporting with recommendations on the scope of work to be performed, the general cost estimate, and the final framework plan for Griffith Park.
Michael.
Councilman, in light of the fact that we've just received some documents, regarding historical nomination as it pertains to Griffith Park, I don't think we're quite prepared to speak on this item today.
So let's continue with 60 days.
Thank you.
Great, good, thank you. Madam Clerk, that completes our agenda, is that correct?
That is correct.
Good. Public comment, Dr. Clyde Williams and Andrew Sachs. Arnold Sachs, excuse me, Arnold. Come on up, Arnold, take a seat. Run that clock.
Okay, as a representative of Friends of Southwest Museum, we've reviewed the environmental impact report, the original lease agreement, the Southwest merger agreement, and generally there's a pattern, non-compliance. For the Southwest, the original lease, there are specific things that are supposed to be submitted, approved by the city, by the board, by the department. Those are not in the files anywhere. I mean, not just a few, zero.
Well, I'd be happy, Dr. Williams, if you'd want to direct a letter to me, and I will forward it to the department or to the Autry, asking for explanation, if this is such what you say is true.
I will.
Okay.
Okay. We've already submitted a report regarding the accountancy practices of the Autry Foundation and the ANC, and we're taking a complaint to
ANC?
Autry National Center. We have taken a complaint to the Board of Accountancy regarding the fact that the practices of the ANC have been, might say, not up to par. There's also a matter that none of these reports, the annual reports of the ANC, have ever been submitted to the Parks and Rec as required by their lease agreement. So, the EIR, it took them over a year to do the EIR. They give us 45 days to review the EIR. None of the neighborhood councils can react that quickly.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What's the law required?
30 days to 45.
Okay, so we follow the law.
If you follow the law, but why have the neighborhood councils and the community impact statements if none of them can comply within 30 days?
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Dr.
Sir.
Sachs, is it?
Not Dr. Sachs. Councilman Labange.
What high school do you go to, Hawthorne High?
No. Not high school in California, high school on the East Coast.
Got it.
Just two quick things. Actually, there's only going to be one, but now it made me think about something else. With the summer months coming up, I just hope to look that the city avoids the situation that occurred last year with the high school that was brand new, that had the pools opened up, but didn't have the
Contreras.
lifeguards available.
Right.
So you had pools that were available, but no lifeguards. So
Right.
I would hope that would be addressed. I know that there's...
Little different problem. You want an explanation? You can hold the time, Madam Clerk. High school pool was too deep for what is a normal city pool, so they couldn't necessarily provide the lifeguard service because it has to have, and Mark Brown's shown, waiting areas. Additionally, in a public pool, you have to have separate quarters for you and I to go use, to dress, to change. At the high school, it didn't have it, and there was some health code challenges there. But LA Unified and John Muckery, General Manager of the Department of Recreation and Parks, has met, and every pool in the future will have such requirements resolved.
No, that's fine. Thank you. I mean, the way it was presented, which brings me to my other point.
Right.
The way it was presented was that the pool was available, but there was no lifeguards. So the explanation would have been sufficient to cover the complaints that I'm sure that came up. Unfortunately, that your explanation or any explanation was not forthcoming. Which brings me to my second point, which just occurred, your item number 8 regarding Griffith Park and the funding.
Right.
The language that was used in your agenda item states that it was citywide funding diverted to Griffith Park. The explanation that we just got was that it was relatively a bump in the process. And my point being that the bump in the process sounds so much softer than citywide services were diverted. Understand what I'm saying?
Got it.
Just like you say when you explained about the pool, it sounds so much better than we had a pool open, but we had no lifeguards.
Right.
So I would hope that when the item hopefully appears on the agenda, that it's explained that it was citywide services were diverted for a short period of time.
Right.
To expedite the repairs for Griffith.
Clean up.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time,
you,
your
Mr.
answers,
Sack.
and your answers.
Have a good afternoon. Anyone else want to speak at this time? So at this time, at 31 minutes after 2:59, is that correct? 31 minutes after 2:59, is that good, or 2:58? See, I'm short. It's 29 minutes after 2. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.